Lamb Productions would like to thank you for your interest in viewing our list of home improvement and self-improvement videos. Lamb Productions has 11 videos on home improvement projects taught by professional instructors in their fields. We have 3 videos on ceramic tile instruction, tiling floors, tiling walls, and tiling countertops. Everything you need to know to have a successful tile installation is shown in full detail, from proper layout to grouting. We also have a video on installing marble tiles, which includes an entryway, tiling over an existing fireplace enclosure, and other creative projects. Our video on Mexican saltillo tile demonstrates tiling an outdoor patio, including the steps and using decorative tile inserts. Our video on hardwood flooring shows how to install wood parquet tiles and also plankwood flooring, both using the glue-down methods. Our video on glass blocks shows how to install glass blocks in a window area. It explains the different types of anchoring and spacers on the market, so you can decide which is best for your abilities. If you're thinking about wallpapering for the first time, our wallpaper video is a must. We show in detail gluing and handling the paper, layout procedures, stripping the old paper, papering around doors and casement windows, archways and overhead soffits, and hanging borders are all demonstrated. Our newest video, Faux Finishing Decorating with Paint, shows the viewer 13 different techniques using paint to beautify your home. From sponge painting, rag rolling, combing, and everything in between is shown. A great and fast way to save time and money.
Hello everybody, I'm Bruce Lamb. I want to thank you for your interest in the U-Tile It video series. We are now celebrating our 18th year in business, teaching homeowners like you how to install their own tile. In doing so, we're going to offer you a very special deal. For a limited time, we're going to have all 6 videos on a very special video called Tile It All. You can either get in VHS copies or DVD now. So get your Tile It All videos. It's going to have floors, walls, counters, the saltillo video, the marble video, and for a special deal, the hardwood floor, how to install hardwood floor plank and parquet flooring, all on one great video or DVD. That's right, folks, all 6 videos on one for only $10.95. That's right, $10.95. So call 1-800-495-8444 and get your all-in-one video right now, or DVD. Or you can also order online at www.tileitall.com.
The following information is intended to help you understand the procedures for installing materials that are demonstrated. The information is intended for individuals who are familiar with hand and power tools. The producers of this video recommend that you check with your local building department for additional information that might be available on the project you are working on. Installing products over existing surfaces are only recommended if the surface is sound without movement. Ceramic tiles will crack if the surface you are installing it over moves. Concrete floors with existing cracks should be covered with a crack-resistant material, commonly referred to as slip sheet. Check with your local building center or tile dealer for the material available in your area. The producers disclaim any liability for injury or damage arising out of any failure or omission to perform the work or procedure shown. Your performance and installations are at your own risk.
The following power tools should only be used by those who've had the proper training and are familiar with the power equipment being used. The first example of cutting tools is a wet saw. The wet saw cuts using a diamond chip blade and is water cooled. You can rent one of these saws in most rental yards, and it's designed to cut all types of tile. It easily makes straight cuts, angle cuts, miter cuts, and many other types. Hand cutting tools. There are several types of cutting tools for every tile. They range in price and size for your needs. These are just a few of the best and easiest to use on the market. They are all equipped with a carbide cutting wheel that scores the tile, then with a quick snap, they split the tile in two. Hand tools needed for tile. These are the basic tools you will need when tiling. The first tool is called a margin trowel. It is used for prying up tiles and mixing mortar. Here we are demonstrating the rod saw. The rod has small carbide chips attached to it, which allows you to saw through the tile. This works well with most softer tiles. The next tool you'll need is a notch trowel. The notches on the trowel come in different sizes to measure the correct amount of mortar to be applied to the surface for the type of tile you are using. Here we have the tile nippers. The cutting edge of the nippers have carbide teeth that are used to bite off small pieces of tile. Mark a line on the tile you need to trim and bite off the small pieces. Use only the edge of the nipper's teeth as shown for smoother cuts. For grouting, you will need a rubber grout float. This is used to spread the grout across the tile. You will also need a large grout sponge for cleaning your tile. The remaining tools you may already have, like a pencil, a tape measure, a chalk line for marking your working lines, and a carpenter's framing square and a long straight edge. You will also need a couple of large buckets, some rubber gloves, and good eye protection when cutting tile. We are going to show you two standard tub enclosures, which consists of a 5-foot-long tub. One tub will have green board drywall as its backing. That is the most economical type of backing. We will tile just above the shower nozzle. The other tub enclosure has a concrete backer board as its backing, which is by far the best backing for many years of use. This tub has a window in the back wall, and we will tile this one to the ceiling.
Backer board can easily be cut with this carbide tip scoring tool and a straight edge. Score along the straight edge and then snap it the same way as you would drywall. You can use a portable mini grinder equipped with a diamond blade for other types of cutouts and thin cuts.
For cutouts and holes, use a chisel to break through the fiberglass. Then with a hammer, break through the board. If you're installing the Wonderboard panels on walls over drywall, use the same mortar and acrylic mortar admix and a 2-inch wide fiberglass tape to tape between the sheets and in all the corners. Use the flat side of the trowel as shown to smooth and clean up the excess mortar.
Layout and planning. The layout procedures are the same for all wall tile installations. We will be marking a center and level horizontal working lines to set our tiles within. We'll refer to this area as a course of tile. After you set the first course in, it's just a matter of repeating the first steps over and over again until you've finished the entire wall. To establish the height of the course, first look at the tile you're using. A course is usually about 1 foot high. We're using 4 1/4-inch wall tile, which have little spacers built into the tile edges, which are called lugs. The lugs give you the proper spacing you need to establish your grout joint. We will lay the tile out on the floor and measure the exact measurement of our working course. We will use this measurement throughout the tile installation. Most tiles come with a variety of trim tiles. This is a standard bullnose tile. It also has a tile corner called a double-sided bullnose or outside corner. Here we have a piece of radius bullnose and a tile called a quarter round. These are used when you're tiling over backer board that has been installed over an existing wall. They cover the edge of the backer board quite nicely. The first step is to make sure your walls are smooth and clean. Scrape any debris from the surface with your margin trowel and use a drop cloth from the bottom of the tub to protect it. Next, familiarize yourself with the vertical walls with your level. This way you'll know if the walls are leaning in or out. Next, find and mark your center point on the back wall. This tub is 58 1/4 inches wide, so the center line is at 29 1/4. Make a mark at this point. If you are only tiling just above the shower nozzle, you must measure the pipe wall to see where the pipe for the shower will land. This is not necessary if you are tiling to the ceiling. Most shower pipes are about 60 inches from the tub. Next, lay some tiles along the straight board to see where the tiles land along your tape measure. Use this layout to see where the full tile will be at the top. If the pipe is at 60 inches, one more tile will make our layout at 66 inches. Using this measurement, make a mark at 65 inches above the tub, and with your level extend this line across the back wall. This is as high as the adhesive will be. If you place the top working line at 66 inches, you may get adhesive above the tile line, which you don't want. Now extend your center or plumb line up to the top line. Next, establish your line for the end walls. This tub is 29 inches wide, so on the layout stick you can see full tile will be 35 inches. So make your adhesive line 34 inches wide. Using your level, extend this line up and across the top. Now look at the pipe wall. If it is the same, repeat the previous steps. But as you can see, this wall is smaller in width than the other wall. Just extend the marks across the top, and when you begin to tile the wall, start with your bullnose tile at the outside edge of the wall and work inwards towards the back wall. Now let's figure out how we want to lay out the tile. Most people prefer to have the tiles centered and have the biggest cuts at each end of the back wall. Try this method. Make a center mark in front of the tub and place the tiles along the tub on either side of the line. Keep tiling until you come to the end cuts. If the cuts are larger than half a tile, you're in good shape. If they're smaller than half a tile, remove one of the end tiles and move the entire line down 1/2 tile. Then you will end up with an end cut larger than half a tile. Next, check the horizontal level of the tub. As you can see, this tub is in good shape because the bubble on the level is exactly in the center of the two lines. If your bubble is off to one side of the two lines, your tub is not level. Your first course measurement must be marked from the lowest point of the tub. You must establish which side is the lowest point of the tub. The lowest side can be found by lifting one side or the other of the level until the bubble is in the center of the two lines. By lifting the left side of the level in this case brings the bubble back to the center point of the two lines. Therefore, the lowest point of the tub would be the left side. You must measure your first course from the lowest point of the tub, because if you didn't, when you set your first course, it would end up like this. And as you can see, it would have a large space between the tile and the tub. If you measure from the lowest point for your first line, your tile can be cut to fit the angle of the tub like this. This method of cutting tile to fit is called scribing to the tub. After you have established and marked the lowest point of the tub, place your level on this point and mark your first course line across the back wall of the tub. Now, let's start tiling. We'll be using a 3/16 inch V-notch trowel for both the green board and backer board.
Mix the thin-set mortar and acrylic mortar admix according to the directions so it spreads easily, but has enough consistency so when you comb the mortar with the notch trowel, the ridges left will stand up and not slump.
As you can see, spreading the mastic on the green board is really no different than spreading the thin-set mortar on the concrete backer board. Now begin spreading your adhesive on either side of the line so it is smooth and uniform and across the first course. Next, begin setting your tile on both sides of the line in both directions. Then, place tiles on top of the first course, then on top of the second course until the first course of tile is in place. Next, place your level on top of the first course and straighten all the tiles to make sure the tiles are firm against the level. You may have to use your margin trowel to move some of the tiles around, carefully prying up from the bottom. Measure your end cuts and make them on your cutting board and place them in. The first course by far is the most important. Make sure that this course is perfect and you won't have any problem with the following courses. Now it's just a matter of repeating this procedure over and over again until you come to the top course or to the ceiling. Measure each course and mark your working line on the wall. Spread your adhesive and set your tile firmly. For this tub, we are going only one tile over the height of the shower pipe. So we will now add our bullnose trim tile to the top of the last row of tile to complete the back wall of this tub. After setting the bullnose in, remove 2 tiles from the center of the wall and place your soap dish cuts in. An easy way to determine the size of these cuts is to measure the back of the soap dish and put a mark in the center. Place the center mark on the center joint on the wall. Then place a mark on the part of the soap dish that sticks out into the wall and transfer this mark onto the edge of the tile. Next, simply measure the mark on the tile to the joint and make 2 cuts this size. Place some additional adhesive to these cuts and place them in. Next, wash the entire wall, making sure all adhesive is removed from the surface and the joints of the tile and move to the next wall. But before we move to the next wall, let's go back to the other tub and show you what we're about to do. As you can see, we're adding a decorative tile to the row just before we come to the window. After this row is in, we'll make our cuts at the window and place them in. Next, we'll mark an L cut where needed at the corner of the window. Make marks on the tile where the cut will be and place another tile on top of it and mark your cut. After making this cut, place it in. Continue adding mortar to this area and make the appropriate cuts and place them in. Notice here we are using sandpaper to smooth out any rough cuts. After the cuts are in at both sides, use your level to check and see if the tiles are level and that the top of the window is in good shape. Next, mark your working line across the bottom of the level. Now, add a piece of wood or drywall to act as a support across the top of the window. This will prevent the tiles you set from sliding down the wall. Add more mortar to this area and place the cuts in. Here we are adding more decorative tile. Then we will finish setting the remaining field tile and cuts at the ceiling. Now we can go back to the window and begin spreading our mortar and start setting the trim tile in place. Notice how we'll apply the mortar to the back of each tile, then set it in place. We will push gently on the front edge so that it's slanting downwards towards the tub, so the water will drain back into the tub. Continue spreading mortar up the sides and at the top ledge of the window. Then firmly press the remaining bullnose tile in place. You now have a beautifully trimmed window area. Now let's go back to the other tub. Check the wall in the tub area with your level to see how far out of plumb it may be. Then place a mark at the joint on the third tile up the wall and strike a mark with your level across the wall. Spread your mastic as before, making sure it's smooth and even. When this is completed, begin placing tile about 1/8 of an inch away from the wall and across the horizontal line you just drew. Never slide the tile together. This will cause the mastic to ooze through the joint and make a mess. Simply place the tile where you want it. After these are in place, set your level on the top row. Make sure the tiles are straight and touching the level. As before, this is the most important course. All the rest of the courses on top will be affected by this foundation, so make sure it's correct before moving on. Set your 3 bullnose tiles in and apply mastic on the leg below. Set the remaining bullnose down to the floor and make the required cuts and place them in. Wash this area off and then place your level against the bullnose and make sure the tiles are plumb up the wall. Now continue the steps as before and tile the rest of the wall. Remember to check with your level after each course and keep the area clean. Finally, the last tile on this wall will be the double-sided bullnose corner. Now let's go back to the other bath and see how we're doing. Here we have applied the same procedures but have a slight problem. The floor in this room is slanting away from the tub. Therefore, the tub is leaning away from the back wall. To keep all of our tile on the level line, we would have a 3/8 of an inch gap at the tub. To fix this problem, we will spread the tile so that there isn't as large a gap using cardboard for spacers. When this is grouted, you will barely notice the difference. When this area has set up for a while, we will remove the cardboard spacers and continue tiling up the wall as usual. Now we will go to the pipe wall. As you can see, start by making a level line across the wall 1 tile above the pipe area. Next, as previously demonstrated, spread the adhesive you are using over this area. Then begin setting your tile. When you come to the opening in the wall, take a tile and carefully mark the tile where it should be cut. Try not to set the tile on the mortar when you're doing this. Now take your tile nippers and slowly begin to nip the tile to fit the area. When you have a fit, firmly tap it into place. Continue repeating this procedure, either cutting the tiles with the nippers or the rod saw. After all the tiles are in place, check with the faucet fixture to make sure everything is covered correctly. Then finish the wall as before. Now going back to the other tub installation, we can show you the other types of fixtures to cut around. We first noticed when we measured this wall that it is narrower than the other wall, and there will be a cut. So we'll start setting our bullnose tile at the edge and put our cuts against the back wall. Start placing your bullnose tile on the edge of the drywall, about 1/8 of an inch back. Then run your tile along the level line and place your first cuts in. Then place tiles around the pipes where you can. Set your level on top and straighten the tiles out. On this pipe, because it is in the center of the tile, you can either buy a masonry hole drill to cut through the tile or use this method. Make a mark on the tile where the center of the hole will be. Then split it on your cutting board. After it is cut, mark the 2 pieces of tile again and cut out the hole using your rod saw. Then place the cuts on the wall and continue tiling. On these bottom cuts, we'll have to scribe them because the tub is running up. Make a mark where you want them cut. Scribe this cut with your cutting board. Then use your biters to trim them off. Then clean these cuts up with your sanding block and place them in. Keep plugging away until you finish the last tile on the wall. The final step before you grout is to apply thin-set mortar to the back of your soap dish and push it in place, securing it with a piece of masking tape. Allow it to set up fully before you grout. Use thin-set with acrylic additive for all soap dish installations. Now it's time to grout.
When grouting tile with joints from 1/8 inch to 1/2 inch wide, you must use the sanded grout formula. Sand helps fill the wider joint and helps prevent hairline cracks from forming.
Mix the grout with the water until it has the consistency of peanut butter. Spread the grout with a rubber grout float diagonally across the tile, holding the float at a 60-degree angle, and press firmly. Make sure you force the grout into the bottom of the joint. Now hold the float on its edge and squeegee off the excess grout. Scrape the excess grout off into the bucket or use it on the next area. This is an excellent way of getting those hard-to-get-at areas like these corners. Allow the grout to set up a few minutes, then with some clean water and a sponge, wash the grout off. Never use too much water in your sponge. A damp sponge that does not drip works best. First, wash the entire area and smooth out the grout so it all has the same look. Then go back over the area with an even drier sponge very slowly. Clean your sponge often for best results. Let the surface dry, then take a towel and dust off the area. Next, with some good caulking, caulk between the tub and the tile. First, spread the caulk like this. Then use your finger to smooth it out. Finally, take a wet sponge and clean off any excess. Use this method where two joining walls meet. Well, there you have it, a beautiful tile job.